great-looking grid, and right at the back, lurking, having come out of the pit lane, by the looks of things, are Hugh Gurney and David Kempton.
Yep, I can see those there now as I look to my right. I do now have the start drivers with me. Thank you very much for that. So I can tell you, he said, trying to read this in a very dark commentary box. It looks like it's Josh Harmer that's going to be starting the 64 car, Will Arith the 280 car, Jeremy Buckley the 148 car. As the final cars coming into position, it's going to be Natalie McGloin is starting her Cayman, and Luca Diella starting the 130 car that's being shared with Josh Leake. So most of them are actually single drivers for this 40-minute race today, but there is a mandatory pit stop to be made as well, and that is going to be between 15 and 30 minutes. So final cars are just slotting into position now. We'll soon get the green flags at the back. You are right, Marcus, we do have Hugh Gurney and David Kempton. They're going to start the race at the back of the grid, so expect to see them scorch their way through the field. The lights go out then, the race gets underway, and this big field heads down towards Copse Corner for the first time. Is it going to be a Porsche or a BMW? It is going to be the Porsche on pole position of Warren Allen that goes around the outside to lead into Copse Corner for the first time, Marcus. So it's a Porsche up ahead. Yeah, it is. It's Warren Allen who leads from the red BMW, and blue and green BMW comes through next. Then it is the number 9 car next of the Porsches, and already up a few places are Gurney and Kempton having to pick their way fairly gingerly through the tail enders in less powerful cars, but it won't take them terribly long to get themselves up in the sharp end of the field. Down the Hanger Straight goes. Absolutely fantastic to watch. Cars of all shapes and sizes in this Roadsports race, and there's some good Dyson. One of the Lotus is coming through the middle there, isn't it? Past a Toyota. Some really well presented cars too, imaginatively turned out. Yeah, absolutely right. So they're heading down towards Stoke first. There you can see one of the BMWs making ground. That looks like Hugh Gurney down the inside, making up a place or two. That's getting past Pete Seeley's bewinged MR2. It's sprouted that wing during the course of this season. That's really bizarre, isn't it? Yeah. It looks a little bit odd. There you can see the sole Caterham in the race. We've had lots of Caterhams out yesterday, but that's the only Caterham here today. The Andy Ebden and Paul Wells 280 has just been dragged past me on the back of a tow truck, on a rope. Okay, right. It's the Alfa Romeo. Okay, so that's Will Arith who was due to start that car, and clearly hasn't. There's Ben Leach in his Civic going through, so he's making some good progress up the order as well by the looks of it, because he started there on row 5 of the grid, so it looks like he's making some forward progress in that Civic as well. Of course, a lot of these drivers will be having their first experience this weekend of the Silverstone Grand Prix circuit, I expect, so it's a whole new voyage of discovery, and if they only did practice this morning, that was only a handful of laps really. That's right. Gurney's about halfway up the field now, which is impressive to see from the back, but he's got all the power and the experience of having driven the circuit earlier this morning. Here he comes round the outside of, that's the blue and orange Honda, isn't it? The Marler Pistons liveried car. Yeah, coming up towards the end of the opening lap of the race. The leaders have already gone through. Warren Allen leading by about 2 seconds. Kevin Dengate in second place. Ben Leach up to third then in his Honda. A very good first lap from him from row 5. Fourth is Nick Williamson. Fifth is the Class B leader. No, it's not Ben Leach, it's the Class B leader, I beg your pardon. Fifth is Peter Urseg. Sixth is Robert Rees in the Mini. He was out in the Radical yesterday. Seventh, the Ebden and Wells car. Eighth, Natalie McGloin in the Cayman, so she's gone backwards a bit at the start. Ninth, number 91, Hugh Gurney up from the back, and 10th, 57, Jamie McHugh's Porsche. And we are watching one of the Porsches now. Gurney and Kempton, 9th and 11th from the back. That's quite telling. Yeah, that's the Peter Urseg Porsche, I think, that we've been watching there, because it has just got past the Nick Williamson BMW M3 in the sort of blue and turquoise livery, and as they head into Stowe Corner, it's Urseg in the Class B car that's moved up into 4th position overall, now chasing after the Class B leader, Ben Leach, in his Honda Civic. So Urseg was winner in a slightly bizarre race at Cadwell Park. It was red flagged just after the, or just amid the pit stop window, which of course meant that the result was all rather random. Nevertheless, Urseg was credited with the win. There you can see Ben Leach ahead of him, who's done much work to develop his Honda Civic over the past year or so. Normally, as I say, he's been racing in hot hatch rather than Roadsports. But there's Urseg number 9, a long-time racer as well in the Porsche Club Championship as well.
Yeah, and still Warren Allen who leads the way. One of the Porsches had an enormous spin through here at the end of practice as I was coming out to the commentary box. Second place is still Dengate. Third is Leach with the very quick Honda. Then it is Urseg in the Porsche. Then it's Williamson.
Leaders coming through to complete lap 2, and I'm wondering if Kevin Dengate is eating into the advantage here of the race leader, Warren Allen. 2.09 seconds was the gap at the end of the opening lap of the race. They're coming through to complete lap 2 now, as you watch the number 130 car on screen, but the gap between the two leaders is now 1.73, so about a quarter of a second or so, 0.3 of a second has been reduced from Warren Allen's lead there, so Kevin Dengate going after him quite effectively. The 130 car you could see was Luca Diella, who started the Class B Honda that he's sharing with Josh Leake.
Yeah, leaders past me with quite a considerable advantage, those two, over the third place Scott Leach and the Honda. Behind the Honda is Urseg in the silver and red Porsche. Then Williamson, that very vividly liveried BMW. But look who's behind him in the mirrors. It's Hugh Gurney from the back of the field. And he looks very menacing. What Gurney's lap time's looking like, Ian, you've got the screen there.
Yeah, so 1.73 seconds the gap between Allen and Dengate. Another 8 seconds back to Ben Leach in third, then another 2.5 back to Urseg in fourth. Class C, by the way, that's being led by Pete Seeley in that bewinged MR2 ahead of Adam Lewis, also in an MR2. There you can see Nick Williamson in, well, it was in 5th position, now into 6th. You've got Williamson, who's was 1.6 seconds behind Urseg at the start of the lap, but now you'll have Gurney herring after him. There is Gurney now on your screens in that number 91 car, having this very busy morning of qualifying and racing. Probably do even longer stints doing this than he would doing the Burkitt Relay yesterday. So he's making his way onto the, as we watch here, that is one of the Porsches going through, and just ahead of the number 20 car, that's Tim Stracy, that's Natalie McGloin, I think, battling with Tim Stracy, just outside the top 10.
Local lady from Toaster, Natalie McGloin, just down the road. Yeah,
and I think she sits on the FIA Disability and Motorsport Commission as well.
Which she does.
Memory serves. And so the leaders, meanwhile, back up towards me at the front again. I think Kevin Dengate continuing to chip away at the advantage, but let's continue to watch this good little scrap going on. It's Tim Stracy there in the number 20 car that's right with McGloin, and having a great old race there. He's in the Elise S3.
Yeah, Natalie's Porsche's on hand controls, isn't it?
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, tries it really well.
She does indeed. And there we can see Ben Leach, a change of Class B lead, because Ben Leach is slowing now, so Peter Urseg goes through. That's out of my commentary box window, so Ben Leach has got problems. He's dropped back to 5th place now because Hugh Gurney's also gone through, so Hugh Gurney now up into 4th place as well from the back of the grid. This is a tremendous effort, Marcus.
Yeah, very much so. And so Urseg is 3rd, you say?
He is now, yes.
Yeah, Leach 4th.
Leach down to 5th.
Yeah, in fact, he's 5th, yes, because he's now behind Gurney. Gurney will be up another place pretty smartly, because he'll extend the power of that BMW down the hangar straight towards Stowe Corner.
Just watching this battle on screen as well, because the Tim Stracy cars have now got Luca Diella right behind in that 130 Honda Civic as well. That was just heading through Cops Corner. we pick up the cars as they head down Hanger Straight, and there you can see David Kempton, who's now ahead of Nick Williamson, up into 6th position. So he's also had a good run up the field. Who's done the best lap of the race so far? It looks like Hugh Gurney's done a 2:22.82 as the fastest lap of the race so far. The leaders are only lapping in 2:24s, so you would think that we'll see a change before the end of this race, but we've got the pit stops to come as well. Just on the subject of pit stops, by the way, Peter Ursig is one of the few drivers that will have to serve a penalty because of success in previous races. He has 15 seconds to serve. Warren Allen, our race leader, has to serve a 10-second penalty. Chris Heathcote 10, Pete Seeley 5, and Ivor Mayers, they all have to serve an extra 5 seconds over and above the standard 60 seconds you have to be stationary in the pit lane. The leaders, though, are nose to tail now, I can see.
They certainly are down the Wellington Straight, and it wasn't quite close enough for the BMW driver to have a go here, Kevin Dengate.
Yeah, 1.6 seconds was the gap at the start of the lap, so Dengate in the BMW has eaten into that. He's got the faster lap of the two already during the course of this race.
We've got Leach slowing dramatically. He's down 4 or 5 places now, and I would think destined for the pits because we've got up into 3rd place now is Hugh Gurney.
As challenge going on for the lead there down towards Copse Corner. Can the BMW of Kevin Dengate, the Red Rascal car, find a way through? The answer at the moment is no. So now they turn through Copse and head down to the left-hand Maggotts into your side.
The answer actually is yes, because Dengate now is ahead, and yeah, he goes through. That's the car that's missing its rear balance, etc. after a bit of a clonk in the 6 hours yesterday, but he leads the way in 3rd place now. Is Hugh Gurney all the way from the back, and he's mighty down through Maggotts, the kink here, absolutely flat chat through there, brakes as late as he can, carries as much speed through. Kempton's behind him, then it's Ursig in the red and silver Porsche, then it's a gap back to Nick Williamson, and you know he's absolutely on his own, and now nobody is in sight whatsoever. Looking back towards Copse Corner.
Yeah, but into the pits has, as we suspected, come Ben Leach. There he is. The number 50 car was running very strongly, leading Class B for a brief while at the start of this race. But poor Ben, although he's got that car going pretty quickly on occasion, it has had some unreliability as well. And here's into the pits, I'm afraid. Picking up the battle on screen now. That's the Clio, isn't it? Just behind the Ginetta, a bit further back down the order, and a good scrap going on there as they make their way down towards us once again. And that, I reckon, is a battle, yeah, just out. It's for 20th and 21st. Richard Baxter in the Ginetta, I think, and Chris Heathcote in the Clio. That was the one that we could see on screen there. Both of those were Class C and D cars. The cars divided into power to weight ratio classes. They're just behind Tony Hobbs as well in the little Peugeot 106. Class D being the, as you'd expect, the lowest power to weight ratio class, working your way up to Class A right at the top. All of this helped to be policed by the 750 Motor Club's own dyno. Just in behind them as well, it looks like you've got a couple of other cars, including the 213, the Nissans in there as well, possibly. So they're making their way down towards the Vale, and it's Hobbs at the moment at the head of that little group, with Baxter just behind, and now Heathcote in the Clio trying to outbrake him. Bit of a lock-up from one of them there, but the Ginetta for the moment stays ahead as they head through Club now and onto the International Pit Straight. Once again, that's going to be for their 5th time. The lead's already coming through to complete 5 laps. It's Dengate now leading by 1.27 seconds from Warren Allen. Hugh Gurney in 3rd place is another 14 seconds behind, but he's lapping 2 seconds a lap faster than Warren Allen, but not as quick relatively as Kevin Dengate. Well, he's lapping quicker than Kevin Dengate, but not as much as he is quicker than Warren Allen, if you see what I mean. Still, there's a great fight going on down towards you, actually, Marcus, into your side.
Yes, that's right.
On screen.
It's kind of a catch-weight contest, and there's some lappery involved, I think, there as well, which is quite interesting. But it's that little Saxo, isn't it, that's hanging on just ahead of pretty much 3 abreast down the straight now.
It's actually Josh Harmer in the Ginetta. It's Richard Baxter in the MX-5. I should correct myself. And they're side-by-side heading down the Wellington Straight. And it's the Ginetta of Harmer that's not going to go through ahead of the 106 of Hobbs.
Yes, 106 I couldn't really see in this bright sunlight. It's you can't pick up the numbers at all.
No, it is really difficult. We shouldn't be complaining that after
We're not complaining after
weather of yesterday. Heathcote's going to try and come back at Hobbs now as they come through Woodcote Corner, and I think he's got a little bit more straight line speed in that Clio, and he goes through. Harmer in the Ginetta will try and follow through, and then Baxter's not too far behind either in the MX-5. So 4 quite different cars here. Of different ages as well, from the sort of late 80s, early 90s in the case of the MX-5, and also the Peugeot 106, bang up to date with that Ginetta G40 and Clio from the noughties.
Yeah, it's interesting, isn't it, when it comes to all the stops, etc., because Alan has that penalty, you talked about the 10-second additional penalty. That's going to help Hugh Gurney, isn't it? It will. Yeah.
It will. Dengates, though, got no penalties to serve, and he's out front at the moment. The leaders have gone through to complete 6 laps, 1.94 seconds now between Dengate and Allen. Here comes Hugh Gurney about to cross the line, so let's see if he's got that gap down any further on that lap. No, not really. His lap time is identical to the car in front of him, Warren Allen, to the nearest 100th of a second, 2:24.21 for both of them. That time through, watching that battle as well. Look, side by side between the Ginetta of Harmer and the Peugeot of Hobbs as they head down into the Vale, left and then right, and onto Club Corner. Hobbs has got the line there. Ginetta runs out wide, might leave the door open for the Mazda of Baxter as well. He tries to get through on the inside as they come back onto the international pit straight. This is just right at the back end of the top 20. And the other car that's now getting involved is, I think, that is the Nissan of Almera, I think, that's getting involved, the 213.
One of the most unusual race cars I've ever seen.
Yes. I don't recall seeing a Nissan Almera racing before.
I don't think it was something the company really intended. But nonetheless, there's one here, so let's not complain.
Not at all, but it does kind of make you wonder what the thought process was when they decided to go racing. And
probably exceptionally good value.
I suspect so.
Yeah.
So they are heading through once again.
My late godfather's last car was a Nissan Almera. And he did a Rochdale Olympic in the 60s, and he autocrossed and hill climbed and sprinted an NSU Prince 4 as well, which is almost unthinkable because he could out-sprint an NSU Prince 4 on foot.
It's Daniel Cogswell that's out in the Almera, and so an interesting choice of race car.
Might be the world's leading Nissan Almera expert.
He could be. Well, Chris Heathcote, by the way, has sprinted away from this pack now in his Clio, the Track Obsession liveried car, but it's still leaving 4 of them to play with because you've got the Almera that's joined in the back, so you've got Hobbs, Harmer, Baxter and Cogswell in the Almera all together there, just about to head through shot. Looking a bit further up, we could see the Mini going through, and then the Lotus. This is down Hanger Straight. That looked like, I think that's Pete Seeley's MR2 as well, which is the leading Class C car in 13th position overall. As we're going back, this battle involving Natalie McGloin now, down towards the Vale.
Ian.
Lewis.
Just update you on Ben Leach. It's an unidentifiable misfire, engine problem.
No, that's a shame. You're going to have another pit visitor before much longer, by the way, because David Kempton is in. We are now past the 15-minute mark, so the pit window is open. So David Kempton heading down the pit lane. He, like most of these drivers, is going solo, so no driver change to be done there, but he will still have to stop for a minute. He runs in the invitation class as well, by the way, to David Kempton, because his car just a little bit too powerful to be classified within Class A or on the power-to-weight ratio scale that we run. Ivan Mayer's just going through shot there, I could see, with Adam Lewis's MR2. There they are, heading down the international pit straight. And that means that Ivan Mayers is now ahead of Lewis and up into 15th position.
He's from Northern Ireland, from Coleraine, where there's the famous Eagles Rock hill climb just outside Coleraine. Did it in the Formula 2 Rold.
Wow.
Utterly terrifying. Great fun, but utterly terrifying.
We're quite lucky to get Ivan Mayers here this weekend because he's a regular at the Formula Ford Festival, which is also taking place this weekend. Another car into the pits now is the Caterham. That's the Ebden and Wells' car. So that has gone in from 8th place.
Still the people.
So we've had Kempton in, we've had the Ebden and Wells Caterham in, and now we've got the Mini in as well, which was Robert Rees, number 15. So he's pitting from 9th position. See that on screen now.
I recall Robert Rees's name from a different type of car yesterday.
Yeah, he was out in the Radical
I was going
yesterday.
to say, change of scenery.
Absolutely, and pace. Although actually, possibly, the lap time might not be too dissimilar in the dry in the Mini to in the wet in the Radical. We'll have to compare and contrast. So he's heading down the pit lane to make his mandatory stop, and all the Roadsports drivers are down at the far end of the pit lane from my commentary position. But we can see there the team, I'll take the team, rushing in to make sure all is okay. I don't think there's anything particularly needs to be done with that car during the pit stop. A few more cars heading in now at quite a rate of knots in the case of 165. Which is Warren Allen, of course. So he is in. We've also got the Jeanette in and Tony Hobbs in as well now. So I'm going to try and keep track of all of this on my grid sheet here, because it is going to get pretty fast and furious. Another couple of cars in now. Lewis, you've got news.
Yeah, Robert Rees has just came in and had a quick word with them, and as you can see, the mechanics are trying to find the reason why there's no power coming out of the little Mini. So Robert's not too chuffed at the moment. Back to you.
Okay, so there is an issue for them to try and resolve in the Mini. A few more cars in. The Robert Quantrill car is in now, and also Hugh Gurney, I think, has pitted.
Yep.
Adam Lewis, I reckon that is now heading in as well. No, that's the Nash and Buckley MR2, and also...
Yeah, Jeremy Buckley, who raced in the sort of back end of Formula Junior days back in the early 1960s. Has pretty much done a race every year since.
There's Pete Seeley, our Class C leader, just gone through the front of shot there. And that looks like the 37 car that's heading through shot. The 132 car, even as it gets a bit closer to me. So that's Mike Rayner. He's out there in his Lotus Elise today. He's currently running in 14th place, as we've now had 21 minutes of this race, so 6 minutes into the pit window and about halfway through the race distance as well. And another Porsche is peeling into the pit lane now, which is the 51 car. So that's Natalie McGloin. So Natalie McGloin is now into the pits for her stop as well.
I'm sure I saw a red BMW look rather like Dengate's go through, with not very far behind it the white car of David Kempton, which is, has made its pit stop, of course.
Yeah. Well, Kevin Dengate is just coming past me now and is staying out there. Here we can see the car in the pit lane of Natalie McGloin. The disabled driver now, she's going to be handing over to Andrew Bayliss for the second part of the race. Obviously, understandably, Natalie having to be helped out of the car. And Andrew gets himself into the car to take over for the second part of the race. One of the MX-5s is coming into the pits now as well, I can see. That is the 68 car of Richard Baxter, who started on row 8, and he pits from 19th position. The work going on in the pit lane to get the change done between McGloin and Bayliss, who were 9th at the time of the pit stops. So Dengate leads. Peter Ursig now, because he's not yet made his stop, is up into 2nd position. Nick Williamson now into the pits as well, the number 1 car. And you can see the Jamie McHugh number 57 Porsche heading through. And
Nick Williamson used to do a lot of stuff in big saloons, big Rovers, didn't he?
It's a different Nick Williamson. Yeah, so that there are 2 of them.
As opposed to Sir Nicholas Williamson, twice British hill climb champion.
Or 3 then.
He's long gone, in fairness.
So we're watching the Porsche head through Luffield at the moment, and because we're running out of time before the pit stops need to be completed. There's still a few drivers that need to come in. But this is the number 165 car of Warren Allen. He's already made his stop, of course. But he's still showing actually in 4th position in spite of that. So that's been pretty good work. 57 car from McHugh now is into the pit lane as well from 5th position. And yeah, quite a few stops now happening. This is Luca Diella, 130, coming into the pits as well. And there's the 15 car of Robert Rees still being worked on in the pit lanes. That's been there for far too long. 20 is into the pits as well, which is Tim Stracy in the Lotus, as is 178, our Class C leader now, Pete Seeley. Some more work being done. This is Jamie McHugh's Porsche. You can see, we've seen him out in Roadsports, we've seen him out in the Armed Forces Race Challenge as well on occasion. 132 also.
So McHugh is currently 5th, is he?
Yes, as things stand. But obviously some of the drivers have made their stops, so he is in a slightly false position. So Mike Rayner's come into the pits as well now. And also, sorry, 39, which is the Adam Lewis MR2.
So just waiting for the stagger to unwind.
Absolutely, 15 or so minutes of the race left to go. It's a 40-minute race, this one. Still Kevin Dengate leading, but he does need to make his stop, and he's going to need to make it reasonably soon now.
Pretty pronto, I'd have thought. Here he comes.
Yeah, the Almera's in as well. Daniel Cogswell's car is into the pits. And another one about to come down there. You can see one of the Lotuses in the pit lane. And also the Luca Diella Josh Leake Civic that's about to head back out. Now the Oakley and Nash MR2 is in for a second time, which isn't supposed to happen. So what that's all about, we're not quite sure. So it's Kevin Dengate leading still from Peter Ursek in second. Both of those drivers have yet to make their stops, but everybody else in the top 10 has done already, interestingly enough, and managed to get back out. And Dengate and Ursek, I'm not sure that they've got enough of a lead really to necessarily make their stops and get back out in front. We'll see.
This little Ginetta and Mazda tussle is quite absorbing, isn't it?
It is, and they've both made their stops as well, so they've come out. They're still occupying the same piece of tarmac, aren't they? The Mark 1 MX-5, the more modern Ginetta G40, but very evenly matched, it would seem. Richard Baxter and a different driver now in the Ginetta. So it was Josh Hum. It's now Simon Walker in the car for the second part of the race. Don't think much difference in terms of the lap times. They come up and over the line. That's the 64 car.
Is Dengate still not pitted?
Not that I have seen. I will check. No,
he's not tagged up on the screen as having pitted.
No, exactly.
Must be getting pretty close to the end of that pit window.
Yeah, I think some of those that are shown as not having pitted actually have pitted as well. If I look at my other screen here, it's got a bit more detail on. I think that's actually showing people in the pits at the moment rather than
yes,
in the pits now. That's on your screen. On my screen, I get a bit more information, such as how many pit stops the Clubman's team had made in the Burkett yesterday when they got well into double figures.
Yes, I think it was 11 or 12 or something, wasn't it?
Yeah, 13, I think.
13.
Ivan Mayer's now into the pits, so he's in from 11th in the 316 BMW that he'll be out in after lunch as well in the Club Enduro. With Andy Waters showing the car, and Chris Heathcote now in that clear 172 into the pit lane as well. There he is on screen now, very briefly, as we watch the Warren Allen car, which is after its stop, still there in third position, pushing on. Warren Allen a winner earlier on in the season at Donington in this category.
I have a suspicion that's the car that I saw spin as I was just parking mine and coming out here to the commentary box.
Okay.
It was a silver Porsche, had an enormous spin coming out of Aintree, went down the left-hand side of the grass and ended up backwards just short of the barrier.
And I imagine once you get onto the grass, that is still very damp and slippery.
I would think exactly that.
The circuit now is pretty dry, certainly online. There's still some dampness sort of way offline.
Yeah.
Online it all looks good.
Gives those who aren't so experienced a bit of a clue, doesn't it?
It does. Right, there's our race leader, Kevin Dengate, who's not yet been into the pits. number 78. He leads Peter Urseg by 53 seconds, and then Warren Allen is 50 seconds behind Urseg at the moment. Waiting to see if Dengate will try and make a pit stop this time. Here he is, down into Brooklands, and he's just gone past Nick Williamson, who's a lap down now. So Nick Williamson a lap down, but Dengate's going to need to stop this lap. If he doesn't stop this lap, he's going to be too late. Yes, he is. He's hugging the inside line. So Dengate is going to make his pit stop finally. But Peter Urseg, who's 53 seconds behind him on the road, is also going to need to come in this time as well, if he's going to comply with the regulations and not have a penalty added to his time.
You can see at the back of the BMW there, it's all missing bumpers and valances and things, where it had the impact with the barrier at Cops, I think it was yesterday.
Yes, that's right. So he's now in, and we wait to see if Peter Urseg, who should be coming through any moment, is going to be in as well this time around. 10 minutes of the race or so left to go. Peter Urseg's just making his way through Luffield corner now. Is he going to cling to the right-hand side of the circuit and come into the pits? Yes, he is. So Peter Urseg now heading into the pits.
Urseg with the plus 15 second penalty for an earlier win at Cadwell.
That's right. So he's now in, and following him in is the number 111 car of... Oh, I thought he'd been in already. Maybe not. Right, yes, so hang on, yes, I've picked up the wrong car. It's Josh Harmer's listed in 2 cars, actually. I think that's him in now in the BMW. It probably has been Simon Walker all along, actually, in the 64 car.
There's a Tim Harmer, isn't there?
Yeah.
And a Josh Harmer. 2 different cars, both from Bradford.
So they make their way through the right-hander. So as we've got the 165 car of Warren Allen going through, and of course he's the driver that could appear in the lead after all of these pit stops.
The Dengate car's just come back past me.
Okay, so he's out again.
Here comes the silver, the plain silver Porsche.
Right,
probably 10 seconds behind.
Nick Williamson, we saw on screen, has got a penalty for what we know not, but well, that's a track limits penalty possibly, or a penalty earned for a pit stop. So we'll try and find out what that penalty is for, as we are now 12 laps down the race. It's number 78, Kevin Dengate, leading from number 9, Peter Urseg, second, 165, Warren Allen is third, but the pit stop still to play out, and we've got this battle going on between the Nissan Almera and the Peugeot 106 on screen, and the Almera of 213 is going to go through on the inside. It has done into Brooklands. Brilliant stuff, that. And through has gone Daniel Cogswell, and he holds the lead now through Luffield as well. So they come back with us onto the start and finish straight.
I can see the approach of Kevin Dengate.
Where is he in relation to Warren Allen, I guess, is the question.
That's exactly the point. There's someone behind him locking up, and that's the pale blue and orange Honda. That's over in the distance. Here they come then, and let's have a look. Dengate's through, and where is the Porsche?
Still front battle raging while you're looking out for that.
I would think it's towards 10 seconds between the 2 cars.
OK, well, let's see if we can head down to the pit lane now, and Lewis.
Yeah, thanks very much. And I'm down here in the pit lane and talking to... can you just come out a little bit further? I've lost the signal from me mic. Hi, Natalie, you were just telling me, first time you've been in the Roadsports series. How are you finding it?
Yeah, first time with any 750 series, and I love it. It's brilliant. I mean, it's great they've got it on the GP circuit, and it's just a really friendly paddock, and we're doing quite well as well. So, yeah, really enjoying it.
Yeah, that's always good when you're doing well. So, how's your racing gone this year?
Racing this year hasn't even been as good as last season. I had a brilliant season last season. Hasn't been bad, it's just been an okay season. So hoping to do some more 750 rounds next year. So hoping for a good one next year as well.
And it's still in the Roadsports?
Yes, still in the Roadsports. We're going to do some modifications to the Cayman and come back with hopefully a better car next year.
Well, that's good to see you, and we look forward to seeing you back next year.
Look forward to being back, thank you.
Thank you very much. Back to you, Ian.
Thank you, Lewis. We've got 6.5 minutes of this race left to go now, and Kevin Dengate has still got the lead by 10 seconds from Warren Allen, and another 17 seconds back in third place.
That was a good guess, because that was a visual one at the 10 seconds.
Yeah, 10.21, so not too shoddy. So that's a decent average. And Nick Williams has got a 36-second penalty at being added to his time, which is very specific. Now, I think that is probably for a short pit stop, because I think if you do a short pit stop, you get the amount of time you were short by plus 30 seconds added to your time. And
it just amazes me people think they can get away with that. There are observers stationed in the pits to note such things.
Yeah, absolutely right. So, I mean, I guess this race is just a bit of fun, so there's no championship or anything riding on it, but nevertheless, it would be nicer if the penalties didn't have to come into play.
As we say, there's no Le Mans drive at the end of it for anybody.
No, that's not a price that's been announced by the 750 Motor Club.
They're working on it.
Maybe for 2020. Over the line has just gone the Almera and 106 battle, which is still pretty absorbing. That's heading down into shot at Copse Corner and turning its way through the right-hander now. That will be heading back down towards you. Just to run down on the class leaders as well. Kevin Dengate, obviously leading Class A and overall. Class B being led by Peter Urseg. Class C being led by Pete Seeley still in his MR2, and Class D now by Richard Baxter in the Mazda MX-5. The leader, Kevin Dengate, just goes past me now, and look to see whether he's still got this 10-second lead. 10.21 seconds it was at the beginning of the lap. 4 3/4 minutes of the race left to go. Warren Allen goes over the line now, and the gap is now 11.27 seconds, so 11.27 seconds for Warren Allen. So he's lost a second that time, has Warren.
But in the course of such a long lap, that really is fairly minimal.
Yeah.
Here comes Allen. He's got clear track now, and he should have probably down to somewhere like Club, I would think. Certainly the infield section, he will catch 1 or 2 cars.
There's the Hobbs. And
Kempton's ahead of Urseg, but only by a couple of car lengths.
Yeah, it was only 4 tenths between them as they crossed the line that time, so no doubt that has changed over. Kempton capable of lapping more than 3 seconds a lap faster than Urseg, so no surprise that he's been able to get through. So that's up to the 5th place then from the back. Hugh Gurney up to 3rd from the back, so 2 really good drives there. Mixed fields to try and negotiate his way through, of course. Their way through. Still, this battle is Hobbs back ahead of the Almera now, of Cogswell. And so, Russell Strupp Hobbs we've seen out in stock hatch in the past. He's also raised this car in hot hatch this year. I think I'm fairly sure he's also had it out down at Coombe on 1 or 2 occasions as well. And the last year or 2. So there, nose to tail along the Wellington Straight up towards Brooklands for the final time. The battle here for 19th and 20th, but no less intense than anything else out on track.
It's brilliant, isn't it? Because these are 2 relatively low-cost cars, and they're being driven absolutely brilliantly, top peak of their potential.
Yeah. Well, that's the glorious thing about Roadsports. You've got some much more expensive Porsche Caymans and the like up towards the front of the field, and you can still have an equally good time and not be very much slower, actually, driving a little 106 or an Almera, and you might be battling for 19th or 20th, but there's still class prizes to
I can tell
go for.
You're gunning from a Nissan Almera 1-make class, aren't you?
Well, absolutely. We'll see if this is the latest development from Giles Greenbridge's book of potential new championships and series.
Fertile no-goers.
we shouldn't joke. Someone somewhere will have thought of this Nissan Almera Championship at some point in the past. Chris Heathcote's out of the race, I'm afraid.
Oh dear.
The 172 Clio was going pretty well. He was there in 16th place.
Hector Heathcote reporting for duty, as he used to say. 172 arriving.
Yeah, and he's bumping his way along the grass there, trying to keep out of trouble, out of harm's way. So we are now into the final 2 minutes of this race, so we're working the final lap now, we think. Dengate having extended his lead to 12 seconds. There he is on screen now, down the hanger straight. And in towards the right-hander at Stowe, just behind the Mini that's back out, isn't it? Which is the Robert Rees car. So it was in for the pits for a long while, that one, but it's back out now. There's the Almera on screen, 213. And he's just behind Hobbs now, and behind him is the 118 car, I think that is.
There's something in the road there, I noticed, so just a little detritus. But I missed it.
There's Dengate then sweeping his way through Abbey towards Farm, and shortly we're back into your site at Village, Marcus.
Yes, absolutely. And here he is. A couple of he's got the Almera, and here's the Almera to overtake next. And he gobbles it up in a straight line.
Yeah.
Gives it a good wide berth, which is the sign of someone really thinking about respecting other people who are dicing on track.
Yeah, so it's Kevin Dengate then heading through Brooklands for the final time. He'll be out in that car again later, shared with Chris Lovett, I think, in the Club Enduro. But going solo for this one, heading into Woodcote then for the final time. The checkered flag should be made ready, and at exactly 40 minutes, that's very nice timing indeed. The checkered flag goes out to Kevin Dengate then, and he takes a relatively comfortable win here. Second place car is just coming through Woodcote corner now. That is the 165 of Warren Allen, the winner from Donington Parks. We've had 6 races in Roadsports this season and 6 different winners. Kevin Dengate adding to the roster, and he was just over, or just under 12 seconds behind Warren Allen.
Who won the second one you talked about? There was Erseg, Cook, Allen, Price.
The other one that's won this year, Matthew Weymouth, had a win at Croft. That was in the BMW M3. He's been our other winner this season. So, well, Chris Heathcote's made his way back round. He's just taken the checkered flag, actually. So, we've got the Clio fired up again. Hugh Gurney, number 91, has come through in 3rd place. Now, Nick Williamson, I think, should be 4th on the road, but then he's got this 36-second penalty that will be added to his time, which will drop him back a bit. We'll try and work out exactly how far. He's just heading his way through Luffield now, up to the line. He's got the MR2 of Pete Seeley just behind him on the road, but a lap down.
All he can do, he can only lose 2 places to Kempton and Erseg, can't he? Everyone else is lapped.
Yeah, that's right. So he comes through 4th, and he will, I think, eventually be classified 6th in the end. Kempton comes across the line now, 5th on the road in the number 11 car, only just ahead in the end of Class B winner Peter Erseg, less than a second between them as they cross the line. So Peter Erseg, number 9, wins Class B. Of course, he had that longer pit stop to take, which actually cost him a couple of positions on the road there. And then it will be everyone else is a lap down, isn't it? So the Ebden and Wells Caterham 7th, number 7, 8th to the McGloin and Bayliss Porsche, number 51, 9th to number 57, Jamie McHugh in the Porsche, and Josh Leakin-Luke Cadiella 10th in the 130 car. Class C will have been won by Pete Seeley in his MR2, and Class D by Richard Baxter in his Mark 1 MX-5 as well. And as the cars continue to come through, just passing the line now is the number 22 MX-5. That's Chris Fantana and Nick Ramsden's car. That takes the checkered flag in 22nd place. And the rest of them feed through, but an entertaining thrash for the drivers there. Kevin Dengate coming out on top. And for some of them, 1 or 2 of them, it is useful extra track time ahead of the Club Enduro later, particularly for Kevin Dengate.
Unless you've actually worn it out over 40 minutes, it's going to break on the opening lap of the Club Enduro.
There's always that possibility, isn't there? So I think now most of the cars have come through. Indeed, yep, I can see Kevin Dengate coming through on his slowing down lap now, about to head into the pit lane. So we'll hopefully hear from him. Conditions
much nicer today, not only for the drivers, but also for the marshals. I'm really wondering how they managed to get their orange suits dried out overnight.
Yeah, it's a good question, isn't it?
Unless they must have been thoroughly drenched.
Yeah, absolutely. It was a horrible day yesterday. I think we actually got away with it quite lightly at Silverstone because there's been some nasty flooding in some places. But yeah, it was not nice to be marshalling and not particularly nice to be racing in either for the Burkitt Relay, which was won, by the way, by the three amigos on handicap and on scratch by the Breakall Racing Heroes at the fourth time of asking. Anyway, I can see that our race winner, Kevin Dengate, has now made his way down into the pit lane, and he'll hopefully be joined by some of the podium finishers or class winners. And so we'll head down to the pit lane now, and Lewis Beals.
Thank you very much, Ian. Yep, Kevin Dengate from the Red Rascals. Competed yesterday in the 69th running of the Burkitt Relay race, but today he's missing the rear bumper. Kevin hopefully will still make the minimum weight of 1,200 kilos, which is displayed on his side window. And Kevin jumps out of his car very nicely, and he's taken his safety gear off, helmet and hands device, which are now mandatory in most of the cars anyway. Today we'll have a little word with Kevin if we don't get wet underneath here. Here's Kevin. Hi, Kevin. Oh, this is Kevin. Kevin and Reese. Kevin. Chris, sorry. Kevin, congratulations. Good victory.
Yeah, I was really pleased, actually. We've had a bit of a mare of a season. It's the first time the car, other than the Burkitt yesterday, has actually finished a race. So, in about 18 months. So, absolutely delighted. Can't believe it. I might run without a bumper every time.
Well, I have to say, you picked the two best events to get it to run reliably.
Yeah, no. So, we were really unlucky yesterday. We lost out to third place by, you know, it was a couple of tenths of a second yesterday, so this makes up for it, I think. So we are absolutely over the moon with that.
Chris, good run.
Yeah, car was faultless. Kevin set the pace from the beginning, got us the lead, and driver change went perfectly, and yeah, everything went perfect. Makes a change.
Well, not much to say, but didn't start on pole. You had to make your way to the front.
No, we started in the second row. At first, I thought I wasn't going to catch the Porsche in front. He seemed to have the legs on me, and I was thinking I should have put some new tyres on. But actually, as the tyres warmed up, I managed to get ahead of him.
Okay, guys, thanks very much, and well, congratulations, and well done for the brilliant end of the year. Okay, guys, let's have a look. Who is next? Number 178, and here comes number 9, our Class B winner, which is Peter. He's running up here very nicely. Well, congratulations, Peter, on your class victory.
Thank you very much. It was a great race, actually. We had a lot of fun. Yeah, qualifying was a bit marginal. It was very slippery in qualifying. We only got pole on the last lap, but they really put down the marker, and when the race got head down, and it went well.
That's good. That's good there. The Porsche running well?
Yeah, really good. No problems at all. You know, once we got some tyre temperature in it, it ran really well. So had a bit of fun with the invitational BMWs in the end. Had a bit of a race, but it was good. I enjoyed it.
Lots of grip on the track?
It got better, actually. You know, offline it was a little bit tricky. So when you're passing some of the Class C and D cars, you had to be a bit careful. But yeah, the track had gripped up nicely.
Okay, thanks very much.
Thank you.
And our Class C victor. Car number 178, it's another Peter Seeley. So Peter, you've got a big smile on your face.
Absolutely fantastic way to finish the season. I couldn't be happier. We had a technical problem with qualifying, so I could only get 3 laps in. The alternator belt went. Huge thanks to Dave Jacobs and Robin for the support. I wouldn't even be on the circuit if it wasn't for them. Absolutely thrilled to bits. Yeah, we were well down on the grid as a result of that, so had to fight through some traffic. But and we had a 5-second success penalty in the pits, so the whole thing, it came together.
Well, that's great, and good to see a smile. So you're going to go into the winter with all buoyed up for next year?
Yeah, we've got a lot of work to do on the car. It's still overweight for class, so I've taken everything I can that's not needed out of it. So the next thing is to have a look at the engine. But if we can do that, I think we've got a very competitive car. It's just the driver has to do a little bit more work, I think. But on the progress of today, very happy.
Well done, Pete. Thanks very much. OK, and our last class winner, that's Class D, car number 68, Richard Baxter. Richard. Fabulous.
How are you? You all right? Yeah.
Well, I'm well. Yeah, a bit warmer than it was yesterday and much drier.
Well, it's cleared up, hasn't it? I mean, it was treacherous in qualifying. It was really, really hard work. We got the P1 by a couple of seconds, so I'm happy with that. And then the race...
That's a mile round here.
Yeah. And then the race, well, I mean, I had a great time with an orange Peugeot 106. I don't know the driver's name, but we had a really good tussle for more than half the race. So really enjoyed it. It was good fun.
So, good way to end the season?
Mega way to end the season, yeah, and I'm definitely going to come back and do this again. I enjoyed it a lot.
Well, it's great. Good to see you, and we hope to see you again next year.
You will. Thank you very much.
Well, there we go. There we go. That's the class winners. Obviously, 4 very happy class winners in the 2A Roadsports series, and it's just coming up to our lunch break.